quite intrigued because the last few years you've been known, I think it's fair to say, for your, I guess, tirades against the Conservative government.
Yes.
Your kind of anger, your sort of frustration
Absolute
came
anger.
through. So what are you going to do now there's a Labour government?
Well, I've already started about the winter fuel allowance, the scrapping of the winter fuel payments, which have, been passed today. I don't understand why they've done it. I do understand why you wouldn't pay the wealthy pensioners, but to go from, I'll be one of those in 2 years' time. So I wouldn't need the winter fuel allowance payment. But to go from 12 million to less than 2 million pensioners receiving it is just way too low. And I'm shocked by it because they could raise that money in so many other ways, including, for instance, private equity managers. All of this is kind of in the book, really. So, for instance, a few years ago, in one tax year, 255 private equity managers earned, very much in inverted commas, £2.7 billion between them. And they didn't pay 45% tax, as every employee who's earning a decent amount of money would pay. They have a special arrangement with HMRC at 28%. Now, that could instantly generate another 600-700 million.
So what do you think Keir Starmer should do now? Right, we've seen.
Well,
yes,
he should apologise.
You think he should apologise?
I think I
to the
absolutely
pensioners?
do, because I was involved, as you may or may not know, and again, it's in the diary and so on, in a tactical voting website. We know it had an influence, and millions of people loaned their vote. I'm not saying every single postcode led to a vote, but millions loaned their vote, and they have stated so, to Labour, in the belief that finally this gross inequality, which has grown over the last 14 years, would be diminished somewhat. And then this is the first thing.
Because it obviously wasn't in the manifesto. Do you feel that the Labour government have effectively, I guess, duped some people there?
I do, yes, I do. I really do. And I'm shocked because it's such, even extracting the fact that many pensioners will be suffering because of it. Obviously, those on pension credit will receive it, but there are almost 900,000 who are eligible for pension credit, but who haven't applied, so they're not in that scenario, which is another subject. But it is unbelievable that this new Labour government, the first thing they do is that. It's not what I don't believe what they were voted in to do. It's quite astonishing, really.
I want to explore a little bit about yourself and how your kind of politics came about, because you talk in the book as well about your own experience. You're just telling me about it as well.
Yeah.
You were brought up in poverty. You went to Cambridge. You obviously became a very successful broadcaster. Your maths books have taught numerously to kids across the country, right?
Yeah, they have.
And yet it feels to me that if you look at some of the reaction towards you, people are almost telling you to kind of get back in your box.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, Voderman.
Why do you think that is?
Partly because I'm a woman, partly because there are an awful lot of bullies online. I think when you are from the kind of background that I'm from, my stepfather, my dad, was a builder. I didn't know my father, my father, Mr. Voderman, because my parents separated when I was just 2 or 3 weeks old. So I didn't meet my father. They'd been married years. I have an older brother and sister, but I didn't meet him till I was 42. But my stepfather, who I called my dad, was a mad Italian. He'd been a prisoner of war, and he swore every third word, right? I loved him. He was loud and, in Technicolor. And he was this builder. So I used to go out on building sites all the time. And when I was an engineer, I worked underground, I went down mines, I did all this. So I'm not saying people were abusive, some were. It was actually the banter, really. But
you're a tough cookie, that's what you're trying to say. Yeah.
The more people try to abuse me, the stronger I feel.
Do you think we have a bit of an issue with, I guess, older women in particular? I loved your the approach to ageing that you talked about in the Sunday Times magazine. Now, I know that you said that your stepfather swore, and there is a few words in this that I probably can't repeat, but no giving when it comes to ageing.
Yeah. Yes. It began with a very nice consonant, which may be the 6th letter of the alphabet, yeah.
Do you think we have a problem with older women in particular?
I think, yeah, there always has been. I remember going back, obviously I've been on the telly for 40-something years, and now, beware the postmenopausal woman with an iPhone, I tell you. But
should put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, I should.
That's a good one.
But over those years, my generation was taught to stay in your lane. My generation of women was obey society's rules. I put in, as I say, there's some very funny bits in there, the unwritten celebrity rule book, as it used to be, for a woman, not a man, obviously, which was be nice to all journalists, even if they're not nice about you. Never said it'd be nice to columnists, particularly for the Daily Mail. Well, I ripped all that up, right? Forget that. Because, I've been attacked, if you like, in the years when you couldn't respond. The only way that you could respond was through a newspaper or through television. Now we have social media where people can come back immediately, as I can. So it gives you a much greater power.
It's interesting, because in a way it's kind of empowering.
Yeah.
But in a way, I guess, there is an abuse that comes with it as well. What do you think about, what's your take on Elon Musk?
Well, on Twitter, X, I still call it Twitter.
I do as well. We know what we mean, yeah.
We know what we mean, yeah. It's not good. After the last election, when he personally tried to get involved, if you remember, and he was, Keir Starmer was answering him and so on, and he was encouraging the riots, Musk. Then the far-right nonsense online, I'm talking about now, really escalated to a point where many people left, to be perfectly honest. I did think about it for a moment, and I thought, no, I'm not being bullied away from this. I've got about 1 million followers on X and another 1 million elsewhere. And I just thought, no, you're not bullying me. So I'm staying. So if anybody's watching and thinks, yeah, I should go away, I'm not.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just finally as well, what's your message, I guess, for Keir Starmer? If the Prime Minister was kind of listening to you now, I know you've spoken about the winter fuel payments, but more widely.
Yeah.
He's got this big majority.
Yes, he has.
There's a lot of people who'd be very optimistic, like you, I'm sure, about the prospect of a Labour government.
Well, I think they have dealt with certain things really well. So, scrapping the Rwanda bill, for instance, absolutely good one there. I felt they dealt with the riots really quickly, and the response was excellent, and that quelled things. So, it's not all bad. But, and Rachel Reeves has now put out the document for applications for the COVID Corruption Commissioner, for instance. I wish I could apply.
Oh, wow. Why don't you? But keep them on their toes.
Yeah, but I don't think I have the qualifications. But, so there are many things, and obviously many other things besides, which are good. But he has to understand. So my message to him is, clear up any form of corruption, any form of misconduct. We need trust in politicians to grow again. Above all things, that's the number one thing. And the winter fuel allowance and scrapping that wasn't in the manifesto. So it's come as a double shock to people, and he should listen more to what people are saying.
OK, great to have you on the programme. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie.